I just finished my first draft of Avatar The Last Airbender and went clean 7-0. And I did it with an archetype that I was skeptical of, Boros. I told you I'd stay open to whatever archetype was open to my seat, but I think the archetype plays differently from what most were expecting. The deck isn't looking to go wide with a bunch of 1/1s. I even cut the copy of invasion reinforcements that I drafted from my deck in favor of bigger creatures. Really, I relied on clues and card filtering to relentlessly continue my onslaught over many turns. In fact, after filtering out games where my opponents conceded early, my average number of turns was 11.2, pretty long for what you typically think of an ideal Boros game going. Today we'll cover what cards I use to win and how I think you can stop this strategy. First, let's take a look at the deck. I have a bit of a bimodal curve going, lots of 2-drops, only a few 3-drops, and lots of 4-drops. We hit our standard 8 1-2 drop creatures that we want in our aggro decks, but these creatures also help us continue into the long game. Let's start with Yuyan Archers. This card reminds me of Scrapwork Mutt from Brothers War. It's great to ditch less valuable cards in the early game or lands in the late game to ensure the cards you do have are impactful. I think it's amongst the best common creatures for this deck. Next, we have Water Tribe Rallier, one of the most powerful uncommons for this deck. This card is great in the late game once you're in a board stall and can waterbend to dig for more action on your opponent's turn. It was great to tap Compassionate Healer to scry to more action. I do think Compassionate Healer is just good filler for this deck though. A good rare for this deck is South Pole Voyager, as in the late game you should be able to double spell with your bimodal curve and draw more cards. Iroh T-Master was the biggest bomb in my deck. Being able to give away lands and create creatures every turn was very nice. As anticipated, Airbending Lesson was good to clear the way of blockers and tax the opponent, or to save my own creatures from Path to Redemption. I had Path to Redemption in my sideboard, and I graded Path to Redemption low because there's lots of ways to abuse pacifism effects in this set, and that proved true. The real common rockstar in this deck is Fire Nation Raider. The clue token it generates keeps your deck churning in the long game. I originally had it at C-, but would now come up to C+ on it in this deck. Aang performed like the B+ I thought it was, Sun Warriors played out like the C+ I thought it was, and Zuko Exile Prince played out like the B- I thought it was. High firebending counts have a lot of areas to dump their mana into, and Zuko's own ability is good to also keep your deck churning. Make sure to have some ways to kill high toughness creatures with this deck, with cards like Sandbender Storm or Jet. Jet is obviously great. Sandbender Storm has pretty good duality, being able to make a 3/3 haste creature, or destroy a big creature at instant speed. So Boros played out well, and I said before, I anticipate it playing well for the first 2 weeks. So how do you beat it? Once you stabilize, save removal for the permanents that could keep their deck churning in the long game. Water Tribe Rallier is a must-kill, Zuko is a must-kill, Sun Warriors is a must-kill. Stabilizing isn't too hard. Like I said, most of my games went past turn 11. But if you're in a standstill, and Boros can continue to draw their cheap cards and play them, they will win. That's it for today. Just wanted to get a quick video out before I enter my next draft and get a broader set of impressions of the format for my next video. See you then.